So God has put the desire in your heart to share the good news with someone. You manage to strike up a conversation and talk to someone. You even manage to take in an opening and bring up the subject of eternity and God, only to hear the response from the person you're speaking to, sorry, but I don't really believe there's a God. And you hear that and you're devastated. After everything, it ends like that. I mean, you can't really get very far convincing someone about eternity and the great need to be made right with their Maker if they don't believe there is one. And it seems in that moment that the door of opportunity in the window is shut. But can I encourage you that I actually don't believe in that moment, even if you hear that response from someone, the door of opportunity actually isn't closed at that point. From personal experience, and many others can testify of this too, so many people who hold to a view that they don't believe there's a God can be changed of that position in just a matter of minutes. And you think, oh, how is that? Well, honestly, it can. And let me just share with you a couple of examples of how this can be done. And you don't need to be the greatest apologist to be able to do this. I remember standing outside a shopping centre, and there was a man sitting on his motorbike just on the side of the road, and I managed to get into a conversation with him and just started striking up a conversation, what he was doing. And then I managed to ask him the question if he believed there was a God, if he had a religious view, anything like that. And he responded with that phrase, no, I don't believe there's a God, sorry. And he tried to end the conversation there. And in that moment, I looked at his motorbike and I said to him, that's a really nice motorbike that you have there. And he said, thanks. I said, I mean, the design of it is immaculate. It looks great. It's a great color. It's a great shape. It looks like it's a really fast model. Just by a glance, I don't know anything about bikes. But what would you say if I told you that motorbike that you're sitting on just made itself? It had no designer. The pieces just came together and it formed all by itself this incredible bike that you're sitting on without anyone having designed it. And he said, kind of like, that would be weird and ridiculous. And then I said to him, well, how much more complex than your motorbike is the human body? Look at us. We have eyes to see, noses to breathe. You have a tongue with taste buds on it. We have stomachs to receive food. We have hands and fingers to hold things. Our bodies sleep to be able to rest and rejuvenate. We walk. We have muscles that allow us to make movements. We can talk. We have a brain that sends signals to all of our bodies. And you're telling me that this complex structure that makes up the human has no designer? And he said, well, I guess you have a point there. There must be a God. And there, the opportunity to get into the gospel was open. There was another instance when a man came to the building, even to the church building, and we needed one of the locks on the doors changed. He was a locksmith, and he was fiddling around with the door. And I just said to him, do you have any religious view? Do you believe in God at all, that there is a God? And he said, oh, my wife, she's Catholic. She believes in that God stuff, but I don't really believe there's a God. And as he was fiddling around with the lock and he was pulling it out of the door, had his tools all out, pulling it apart, and I basically just said to him, I said, that looks quite difficult what you're doing. What would you say if I told you that lock, in all of its complexity, in all of its components, didn't have a designer? It made itself, and all of those pieces just came together without anyone doing anything or designing it. And he said, well, that's kind of silly. I said, well, look at this world. I mean, look at planet Earth. Look where we are situated in light of the sun. If we were any closer to the sun, we would burn up in an instant. If we were any further away at all from where we are, we would freeze and we would die. But we're in the perfect spot for life to live, flourish, grow, and reproduce. And he understood there must be a designer, and an opportunity was made. What's the point that I'm getting at here? When you read Psalm 19 in the second half of Romans 1, God makes it clear that he has revealed his existence in creation, that all of creation points to a maker. Understand, creation is one of the tools that God gives us as an opening to share the good news of Jesus Christ with others. Do not forget that.